Season 8 is coming to a close, and with it, hopefully the memory of the latest and worst meta trends in Overwatch history will be exactly that. History. The Mercy meta is no more, and we had a good while to get a feel for what the game plays like again without her reigning supreme. Now, we're not expecting any fundamental changes to go with the introduction of the competitive Season 9. At least at the time of making this video, the devs have not teased anything close to it. Big changes used to come with the start of a new season, but these days the devs pump out balance patches and the like whenever they are ready, meaning there really isn't all that much that's fundamentally new when going into Season 9. However, a new season marks a bit of a new start for many players. Most of us are most active during the beginning, with fading interest as the season comes to a close. So in today's video, I want to arm you guys with knowledge and do something I have repeatedly said I'd like to stay away from. Meta predictions. Now, they're not as much predictions as they are observations, given that, again, we got some significant balance changes in the middle of Season 8, and we're not expecting Season 9 to kick things off with another huge patch. There are, however, a few things that we know are likely to happen, and some things that we also know probably will not happen. I want to make this very clear though, this video is not a guide or tutorial. I am not trying to suggest that you are supposed to be playing specific heroes or compositions. Rather, I want you to know why certain comps and heroes are considered powerful. Too many times do I see people pull out something they've seen in a tournament or a YouTube video with absolutely no idea of what makes this comp viable in the first place. They misplay, they fail miserably, and I would like to avoid that happening. So let's get the show on the road and begin with hero changes that we expect to see happening throughout Season 9, and heroes that Blizzard said they were not looking into changing. Jeff on the forums has confirmed that D.Va, powerful as she is in many players' eyes, is not a hero that they are looking to change currently, and Junkrat seemingly shares the same fate. Now, I know that Junkrat specifically is considered downright overpowered, but there's a reason why he comes off as so powerful, even though he literally just got a slight nerf to his concussion mine. You see, with the introduction of quad tank setups labeled Slambulance in the Overwatch League, many players went out and copied those types of compositions. The difference between this meta trend as opposed to most others that we have dreaded in the past is that there is counterplay to it. Counterplay in the name of Junkrat. Slambulance is a powerful death ball type composition featuring bulk healing coming from Moira, speed boost coming from Lucio, and lots of HP in the form of 4 tanks. There are two very obvious downsides to this type of composition that explain why pro players are not running it virtually all the time, but instead only on certain maps. For one, this composition has very little mobility. With a lack of mobility comes the problem of not being able to contest high ground, which on many maps is a prime focus. That means that on narrow points it becomes a very valid composition because you can literally just walk onto point and the enemies have to come and get you. And this is where Junkrat excels, because Junkrat benefits from the same circumstances as this type of composition. Narrow points where it's easy to spam heals as Moira and get maximum value out of your orbs. The same points that Junkrat can spam with his explosives to get his ultimate roughly every 45 seconds. The Slambulance is easily diffused in most ratings on ladders simply by swapping to a Junkrat, given that most players are not aware of the downsides that come with running this death ball type composition. In higher ratings, triple tank Junkrat is usually the way to go if you're trying to counter a quad tank setup, given that you have a similar amount of sustain but vastly more damage. It is worth noting, however, that this comp can be used for an easy first point cap coming straight out of the gate. It's kinda like running Pharmacy. The opposition needs very specific heroes to be able to counter you, so if you're doing an alright job pulling your comp off, you can usually get the first point for free. Your results may vary. But you know just as much as me that Slambulance is not an overwhelming meta trend that everyone is running at all times, like it was the case with Mercy in a lot of ratings. So when it comes to which heroes you can expect to see, it's a wildcard. On ladder, as much as in the Overwatch League, players are currently experimenting with a vast amount of compositions to try and figure out what works well, and reality is that a heck of a lot does. So at this point in time, it's less about which heroes are considered broken due to a balance patch, but more about which heroes excel on which maps. So that is something that you will have to figure out. A couple heroes that we do expect to see changed, however, are most notably Doomfist as well as Sombra. Doomfist is expected to see a slight buff to his ammo recovery, meaning he'll be able to dish out more consistent damage. Sombra, on the other side, has been teased with a whole host of changes that would, well, for all intents and purposes, make her an actual DPS more than a support DPS hybrid. I covered those changes in my video talking about the most unfun types of abilities in Overwatch, so if you want the full details, I'll be popping that video into the top right corner. At this time, it is very difficult to predict how those changes would affect the meta, but suffice to say that Sombra would become a force to be reckoned with in more places than just 2 CP. In fact, I would highly recommend you watch the Overwatch League because the current map rotation in Stage 2 features a lot of maps that favor Sombra in her current state, so you can actually learn what makes her powerful. Spoiler, it's her EMP. But I guess I won't get around talking about Mercy as well. Yes, a lot of us are happy to not see her in virtually every single match anymore, but Mercy is not useless. Sure, you won't be able to support a tank-heavy composition as much as Moira, but Mercy is a great addition to other Deathball type comps. An anti-dive featuring Junkrat and Roadhog, for example, but she's also very useful as a babysitter for immobile heroes like McCree and Zenyatta, or backline heroes like Widowmaker. Not to mention that Pharah Mercy, specifically on ladder, is still a very powerful combo. When it comes to some of the best and worst heroes for Season 9, again, it's fairly map dependent. Standard dive still works on most maps if you play it well, meaning Tracer and Genji will not fall out of the meta. Beating a quad tank setup with that, however, is not all that easy, and that's where we get back to Junkrat in his role as a breaker. Honestly, at the start of Season 9, you really gotta pull out your Overwatch 101, running high mobility comps like dive on high ground heavy maps, running spammy snowball type comps on close quarter type of maps like triple tank Junkrat, and seriously just adapting to what the opposition is running into you. There's currently nothing that I would personally consider universally overpowered that you can run under any circumstance, like it used to be the case with Mercy. More than anything, you can really shine with your main heroes at the start of Season 9 and get creative. If you get higher on ladder, like upwards of Masters, you should expect to see more tank-heavy compositions, which is where Junkrat is gonna be a godsend. If you spot enemies run quad tank on suboptimal maps, you can take advantage of that by abusing high ground play, which is where these guys cannot get, and then you just shut them down by getting rid of their primary source of healing, which is Moira. As always, my recommendation is not to just blindly copy what the pros are doing in the Overwatch League, but instead try to understand why they are running it, how they make it work, and if it is a feasible endeavor to approach in solo queue. If you don't understand what makes your comp powerful, you're making it that much easier for the enemies to counter you, so do keep that in mind. Is Overwatch too easy for you? Well, I got you covered. Get Dark Souls 3 plus DLC in this month's Humble Monthly for just $12, with more games coming in just a few days. Support charity as well as my channel while getting awesome games delivered to you every month. Only a few days left before this offer expires, so go get your bundle today by following the link in the description below. Now, since I don't want this video to get too long, I'm gonna call it here. If you still have any questions surrounding competitive play or Overwatch in general, I recommend you go and check out my Overwatch Explained playlist down in the description below, where I cover a lot of the usual questions that I see in the comment section. If that is not your jam, then maybe one of the cards on screen is gonna tempt you to give me some of that sweet, sweet watch time that I so direly need. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Don't forget to drop me a like on your way out if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and best of luck in the upcoming Season 9.